Hello and yes, welcome back to another video, guys. Now that is right, today we're back to do my end of the month videos. We're going to be going over all the films I watched throughout the last month, February of 2022, for the first time. So I've been doing a lot of other watching this month, but of course these are films first time watches. So I've been doing a bit of rewatching this month, just rewatched the Dark Knight trilogy in preparation for the Batman tomorrow. I've been watching a lot of TV shows, so yeah, there's still been a lot of watching going on. Films-wise, it hasn't been my biggest month. I've watched 20 films, but yeah, there's still some good ones here, some new releases, some which I have yet to talk about on the channel, some which I wanted to review but never really got a chance to, like Death on the Nile, Uncharted, Sing 2, the 3x5. So in terms of a few new films, there's a few on there that we're going to get to talk about today. So without further ado, I'm going to scoot over so we can see the movie posters here, and we will get started. So the first film I watched for February 2022 was Home Team. This is a brand new Netflix film from a Happy Madison production starring Kevin James. Now, whenever you see a Happy Madison production movie, you sort of know what you're in for. You're not in for a great film. You're in for either a fun time or a pretty diabolical time. And normally when Adam Sandler isn't in the lead, even though some of his definitely come under diabolical, but when he's not in the lead role, you almost automatically go, it's going to go into the diabolical category almost automatically. And I got to say, this was a pretty bad movie. I'm really not a fan of Kevin James much as an actor. He has a few things, a few performances he's okay. I actually really liked his YouTube channel that he was doing right around the time COVID broke out. But yeah, this film here, I don't know much about American football. I don't care about American football either. But I just, it's loosely based on a true story, I believe here. About a big time football coach, or American football, because it's not actually football. It's who he starts training a kids team, and it's all right. It is what it is. It was a bit boring, I thought. I didn't really think there was many likable characters for a film based around a group or a team. You really don't get that attached or connected to any of the characters on the team very well. So yeah, really, really weird, lazy movie. I think lazy is a good word to describe it. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Then we have Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which was very kindly sent to me, and is a movie which I've been meaning to watch for some time. It's one of those classic movies from the late 80s, I want to say, might be early 90s. And it's such a fun thing because in your head you think, we've all done this. We've all bunked off school every now and then. Back when I was, about, feel my age getting to me here. Back about, I want to say 10 years ago when I was, at that age, 10 years ago I would have been 14. So I was probably in that age group where, I was bunking off every now and then. And you think, what am I going to do today? Obviously, in real life, it's boring. You sit at home and play your PlayStation or your Xbox all day. But not Ferris Bueller. The stuff he gets up to in this movie is crazy. It's a great little ride. And I've got to say, I had a lot of fun with it. I loved how extreme it got in the later acts of the movie. And it was just really fun. I thought all the actors did a good job. I want to say the music was really good as well. Really good. And I thought the teacher was really funny in it, who was trying to track him down, hunt him down. Ferris Bueller's Day Off was actually really fun. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Then we have The Burning, which was another film sent to me, because it's an Arrow video release, and it's very much in that slasher horror genre. And honestly, it felt so similar to Friday the 13th for me. But I'll say this, I think I might have preferred it to the original Friday the 13th films, because I don't know what it is about Friday the 13th. I've never been I'm not the biggest fan. It's the one slasher franchise I didn't really connect with as much, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Chucky, Scream. Connected with those franchises a lot more. Friday the 13th, a little bit more loose with, but The Burning was great. Very similar set. A bunch of kids gone, they've gone away, big lake, and this guy's going around with these big, shears, killing them. And it's a lot more gory. It's a lot more gruesome. And dare I say it, with the original Friday the 13th, I'd say this is more scary. So there's a lot of good elements to it. Yeah, this one definitely feels dated. It's very cheap. You can tell it's a very cheaply made movie, but it is what it is. I had a fun time with it. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Then we have another film which was sent to me, The Witches of Eastwick, starring the wonderful, incredible Jack Nicholson, who is fantastic in this movie. Now, I'll be honest, this film here wasn't gripping me too much for the first 2 acts of the movie. I was like, this is interesting, you know. I thought the dynamic between him and then the 3 witches in the movie was, you know, it was interesting, but it was carrying the movie for sure. But, you know, the pacing weren't great, and there were a few moments when the movie dragged a bit, I thought. However, the chemistry between these characters, I thought, was really holding it together. But the final act, I thought, was so much fun, where the witches sort of, you know, they make a voodoo doll of Jack Nicholson's character, and yeah, they go to town on the voodoo doll, and it's really fun to watch, actually. So yeah, definitely enjoyed some elements of this movie, but definitely a bit too long, I think, and a few pacing issues. Overall, though, still enjoyed this film a lot. I'll give this film a 7 out of 10. Then we have Newsies. So I was sort of at work. Do you know what? I know what I'd done. I just watched one of the new episodes of Euphoria, because I've been watching that as it comes out weekly. Season 2 has been really good, by the way. So I watched the latest episode of Euphoria, and it was really heavy, and I was like, I need something fun. So I just literally put on Disney Plus musicals. And, you know, I'd seen most of them that were popping up. I think I'd seen nearly all of them. But Newsies was there, and I was like, I have not seen this. So I put it on. I think this is a 90s movie, I believe. And straight off the bat, the first number was like, okay, I'm going to like this. This is really fun. I love the production design of it as well. A lot of the costumes and stuff, a lot of the sound effects that were being used. It really reminded me of like films I used to watch when I was growing up from the 90s. Weirdly reminded me, because it sounded like it almost had the exact same guy who mixed the Muppets Treasure Island movie, because the sound mixing sounded exactly the same there, and it was proper throwing me back. But also, I sort of picked up, I think this is Christian Bale. And sure enough, it was. I seen Christian Bale do some singing. And yeah, you know, I think, again, I don't have many complaints with this because it's a musical. I just had a lot of fun with it. You got to take it for what it is. But the only complaint I have with this film is that it is too long. I think, genuinely, this film could have been trimmed down 20 minutes at least. Because there are some bits where you sort of look at the runtime and you're like, this could be moving a bit quicker, I guess. But, you know, it was a fun movie. The songs were good. So, yeah, Newsies, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 to. A lot of 7s going out here. And then we have Sing 2. I'm not a big Illumination animation fan. It's a bloody mouthful, that company. Yeah, I'm not big on the Despicable Me films. Minions was a piece of shit, even though the opening was funny, I'll admit. Secret Life of Pets, first one was alright. It shot itself in the foot with the second one, because that was pretty bad. Yeah, and then, of course, we've got Sing. I actually didn't mind the first Sing film. I was like, this is one of their better ones. No, I'd say it was their best one. It's their best movie. Until now, I think this is actually my favourite. So I'd put both Sing films at the top of Illumination's records that I've seen. They're my 2 favourite Illumination films. This was a pleasant surprise. After seeing The Secret Life of Pets go from making an okay movie to a dog shit one, I was sort of expecting Sing to do the same, where it's made a decent movie, and I was expecting this to just ramp down, but they kept it on the same level, and it was really good. This film actually felt a little bit more well-rounded. The first film, there was definitely a bit of an issue of who's the main character, because everyone sort of had their own 10 minutes in the movie, whereas here, it's obvious it's centered around Matthew McConaughey's koala a lot more. He's definitely the main character and the focus of this movie, and it feels a lot tighter than the first film like that. I also like that they ran with the whole idea that, you know, they're kind of famous and stuff. They don't recreate the first film. They're now putting on a show. It's not a talent show anymore. Now it is they're putting on this big show. And it's really good, actually. Like, the villain is intimidating and menacing. I loved the lion character voiced by Bono, which was incredible. And his moment at the end where he walked out on stage with the guitar, I was like, this is really cool, seeing that they've got a legendary musician come out and sing one of, U2's greatest songs. It's fantastic. I really got behind it at the movie there. So, yeah, Sing 2, actually quite a good movie. I had a really good time with this. I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10. Then, of course, we got the Oscar nominations. And at the minute, I'm trying to get through all the films that I hadn't seen, which was only 4 or 5, that are going up for Best Picture, that I hadn't already seen. So I've got left to watch Coda and Licorice Pizza. So everything else I've seen now, 2 of which we're going to talk about on this list today. But the one we're going to talk about now is Belfast. Belfast, this is fantastic to me because Kenneth Branagh, I love him as an actor, I'm going to say that, and he seems like a lovely guy. But his directing has been very up and down for me. Like, I thought Thor was okay. I thought Artemis Fowl was dog shit. I thought Murder on the Orient Express was okay. We'll talk about Death on the Nile in a minute. So, I couldn't believe that this man was going up for Best Director. But wow, Belfast was fantastic. First off, I want to say the cinematography in this film was gorgeous. The film looked amazing. Again, the sound mixing was incredible, I thought. I thought the dialogue, the writing was just so fantastic. So well written. The set pieces were gorgeous. And you can tell that this is a deeply personal film to him. So yeah, Belfast, I really just don't have any bad things to say about it. I also love the fact that the runtime almost seemed perfect. 'Cause it's actually not that long of a movie. It just clocks in around 90 minutes. And I think that's one of the really cool things about this movie is that I think that this is one of those types of films which they could have easily stretched out if they wanted to. But I think that, they knew what the film was capable of. And I think that it's pretty perfect as where it stands. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Really good film. Then, speaking of Licorice Pizza, I discovered that I'd only seen Punch Drunk Love from Paul Thomas Anderson. And I know that's a crime. So I've decided I'm going to watch all of his films at some point. So I decided to make a start with what's meant to be his best one. I've already seen Punch Drunk Love, but, with my awakening of realising I need to watch more of his movies, I've started with There Will Be Blood, which so many people had raved to me about. So, first off, I want to say the acting in this film is fantastic. From the lead actor, whose name's escaping me off the top of my head. This is the problem when you make videos and you don't come prepared with notes. But he was incredible. And, so it's just some of the things that they go through in this movie. Like, the actors must have got really beat up in some of the scenes because you can feel how gritty and horrible it is where they are at the start of the movie. But I think it speaks wonders for the film. The sets are fantastic. I think the actors and stuff, they look like they're going through hell, like with the makeup and stuff. The cinematography is gorgeous. The score is really good in this film as well. My issue with this film is, again, I know it's a long film, and I haven't got a problem with long films, but I feel there were a couple slow moments where it's like, yeah, this could have been trimmed down a little bit. But that's my only complaint with There Will Be Blood. I don't think I quite loved it as much as some people, but I did really like it. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Then we have The 355, the first big movie to come out, 2022, I think. It came out before Scream, I think, in cinemas. Yeah, I mean, I say big, it's the first kind of, blockbustery movie, but even though I don't think many people are seeing it. And to be honest, I would not recommend this film to anyone. This film was a total mess. It's a real shame because this film, it just feels really cheap at times, and I hate the way it goes. Like, oh, yep, the American and the British, they're like the two that are going to get the most screen time here. I was really excited to see when they went with the Chinese spy, but surprise, surprise, she's barely in it compared to the others. Yeah, I just thought this was just such a cop-out movie. It was so predictable. There's a character that was meant to die at the start and then mysteriously, oh, look, they're back and they're the villain at the end. It's like, well, we all knew that was going to happen. Yeah, it's just pretty piss poor, this film, to be honest. I didn't really like it. Sebastian Stan, I don't know what he was doing in this. Jessica Chastain is so weird. Sometimes she's so amazing, and then she'll do a film like this where I'm like, I don't get you. Sometimes you're amazing, sometimes you're really not. Yeah, this film was... I'll give it 4 out of 10. Then, I didn't know whether to include this movie, because I'm not putting it on my end of the year ranking, because it's just a compilation of people in real life doing really stupid shit. But I'll talk about it here. Jackass Forever. Yeah, I went to see this in the cinema with my mates, who all had a few drinks before as well, to make it a little bit more funny. Or you were Ryan, and you had a bucket of drink. I can't remember the movie. But yeah, so I went to see Jackass Forever. It was what it was. It was just really funny. It was just a really fun time. Some of the things that these guys put themselves through is ridiculous. I would love to know how much they're getting paid, and for me, it probably still wouldn't be enough to do some of the things they do. But yeah, this was just super fun. It isn't, you know, this type of film ain't going to win any awards, but it's one of the best films to see at the cinema with your friends. In fact, it's probably the best film to see at the cinema with your friends, because you're all going to have a super fun time. You're all going to laugh your heads off. Yeah, yeah. Jackass Forever. I don't even know how to rate this film, to be honest. I'll give it a 7 out of 10, I guess. Then we have Dirty Harry. That's right, I'd never seen Dirty Harry before. But slowly making my way through my Clint Eastwood box set, and that was the next one up. And yeah, I can see why everyone loves this film. He's a complete badass in this. This is sort of his rendition of James Bond. You know, he's a very cool, suave character. Gets all the girls and stuff, you know, very, very cool. And Clint Eastwood himself was really good in this one, really badass. I feel like a few of his later westerns that I've been watching, he's sort of almost relying on the fact that he's in a western to carry the movie. But here, he's putting in a really good performance, really solid. Love the music in this one as well. And it's shot really nice as well. I'm going to give Dirty Harry an 8 out of 10. Then we have Housekeeping, which was sent to me by my good friend Jack Logan. And I'm going to be honest, Jack, I wasn't a huge fan of this one. This film really didn't grip me much. I don't know what it was about it. I just struggled with it. I don't really have much to say about it, to be honest. I hate saying this because I know it's a film you like. She sent it to me and you wanted me to watch it, but I'd rather be honest with you and the viewers. But yeah, overall, I think I'd use the word boring to summarise this movie. Maybe another watch will change my mind, and I always like to give films a second watch, so I'm sure I will be giving it another watch at some point, but for the minute, for me, it was a very plain sailing film. I'm going to go 5 out of 10 on this one. Then we have a film called Uncle Frank, which just pops up on my Amazon Prime, and I saw Paul Bettany and was like, okay, I've got no idea what this film's about. I like Paul Bettany, and it was a recent film, 2020, I think. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's give it a go. Why not? I absolutely loved this movie. So this film was set in the 70s, I think. Was it the 70s it was set in? And it's centered around a little girl and her family. She comes from this very old-fashioned American family, you know, sort of living on a farm and stuff. And her uncle is Paul Bettany, and he lives in the city. Not sure what city, I can't remember. Anyway, so she goes to college or something like that. In the city, and you know, Paul Bettany's there, and she discovers that he's a homosexual, and he's living with his partner. And then there's a death in the family, and they all have to go back home to deal with that, to mourn. And of course, the family doesn't know about Paul Bettany, and things come up. And I've got to say, this film has so much heart to it. It really caught me off guard. It's a really beautiful movie. Paul Bettany gives maybe the best performance I've seen him give. I don't know. I really love him in Master and Commander. But he's fantastic in this movie. I thought the person who played his partner, I'm not sure on the actor's name, but he was also fantastic. All of the actors were great. This film was just so charming, so heartwarming. The ending had me worried for a minute. I thought they'd gone in a direction I didn't like with Paul Bettany's character, but then luckily they save it, and I love this movie. I thought this was really great. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Then we have A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 remake, and this is the last thing I had to watch on Freddy Krueger movie-wise. I believe there's a TV series. I don't know if I'll watch it, but this is me and Nightmare on Elm Street done movie-wise. This is the last one, and it's such a shame because this remake was pretty shit. I think they picked a really good actor to play Freddy in this one, but the makeup, I don't know what it was. It just didn't look great, I didn't think. I wasn't scared once. The characters were all boring. The plot itself was boring. The film was too long. This film was really quite bad. And it's such a shame because this could have been the start of a new Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I'm really hoping they reboot this franchise again, actually, in the next couple of years when we get Freddy back on the big screen, because we've got Michael back. We've got Scream. We've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre come back. We've got Chucky on the TV. So yeah, I'd really like another good Nightmare on Elm Street film, but this one could have a 3.5. It was pretty bad. And then also finishing off my Friday the 13th films, I watched the final Friday film I had to watch, the 2009 remake. And this was better than the Nightmare on Elm Street one, but still not great. There were some pretty cool kills in this one. I like the fact that they didn't just skip over the whole, it was Jason's mum that did the kills in the original and stuff. I quite like the fact they acknowledged that. I thought they were kind of clever with it. The characters were a bit more interesting in this than they were in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Yeah, there were some good elements to it. It didn't blow me away or anything, but yeah, it was a fun modern horror, I guess. Give it a 6 out of 10. Then we have Death on the Nile. Kenneth Branagh's new movie after Belfast. Did anyone want a sequel to Murder on the Orient Express? No, not really. But we got it, and I got to say, this was better than Murder on the Orient Express, I think, slightly. It's a weird movie. This film feels like two halves. Honestly, the death happens halfway through the movie, and the first half of the movie, it's kind of painful. There's some camera shots showing you locations, showing you the Nile, showing the pyramids, showing loads of stuff, and it all looks garbage. Like, the CGI is particularly terrible in this movie. Then on top of that, the script in the first half of the movie is also embarrassingly awful. However, the murder happens, and in the back half of the film is completely different. We're not doing location shots anymore, so there's no room. They're not doing as much poor CGI. The script is a lot tighter, and the film itself, all in all, is a lot more interesting, because you're not just, oh, is the death going to happen? Oh, no, not here. Maybe the death's going to happen at this bit. No, not here. There's a party. Maybe the death's going to happen. No, maybe in a minute. Once the death actually happens, the plot it flows, and you're more interested in what's happening. It becomes quite a good movie, actually. And it's weird because, as I say, it does feel like a film two halves. The first half I didn't like. The second half I did like. It's a very strange movie. But I'll be kind. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. Then we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Keeping with the themes here of slasher horror remakes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is probably going to go down as one of the worst films of 2022. This film was garbage. Now, I know some people liked it. To those people, fair enough. I'm pleased you enjoyed it, because I've even spoken to a few people who liked it. And it's like, fair enough. Hey, you liked it. My opinion, I thought it was garbage. Like, the characters, for a start, sucked massively. The plot itself was pathetic. Leatherface was not scary. And people were raving about this bus scene, and it's like, there was nothing that good about it, honestly. He stepped onto the bus. Someone made a really cringy, horrible, pathetic joke. He sliced a few people up. The gore was incredibly over the top, where it was unbelievable. And he was moving through that bus, and it was like, how long is this bus? What the hell is this? Yeah, I thought the film was awful in so many ways. There's literally nothing good about it. I give it a 1 out of 10. I thought the film sucked. Then we have Uncharted, the new Tom Holland blockbuster. I was worried going into this film because, I'll be honest, I haven't played the games. But everyone was saying that Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg have been terribly miscast. And I trust people on that because I haven't played the games. So I would trust that the whole fan base of the games was saying this. I was like, it must be right. And the trailers were full of CGI and I was like, this looks pretty bad. I was just really worried Tom Holland was going to play Peter Parker as well. Because that's how it's not Tom Holland's fault. People moan about Tom Holland. It's like, it's not him. This is the studio going, get him to play Peter Parker. But I was pleasantly surprised. Tom Holland was really good in this movie. He wasn't playing Peter Parker. He was playing a bit more of an arrogant kid, younger guy. Not kid, because he's working in a bar. But yeah, I thought Tom Holland was actually really good in it. Mark Wahlberg was a bit more just being Mark Wahlberg-y. And the CGI wasn't as overwhelming as I was expecting it to be. Like, it did only use it when it needed to. Compare it to Jungle Cruise or Red Notice, and it wasn't nowhere near that level of poor CGI, using it at every second. Yeah, it was a fun action film, had some fun moments to it. I was a bit annoyed that they replaced an interesting villain, or someone who they were building up to be an interesting villain, with a really bad villain. But, you know, fun adventure film, was what it was. Give it a 6 out of 10. Then we have I Want You Back, the new Amazon Prime film starring Charlie Day. And, yeah, it's a rom-com where, you know, girl breaks up with guy breaks up with girl. The two have been broken up with me. And their partners have got other partners now. And they're like, right, we want our partners back. So you go break up this couple. You go break up this couple. But then they start falling in love. Sounds a bit complicated, actually, when I explain it like that. But yeah, I actually thought this was good. It was fine for a rom-com. It was an easy watch. Charlie Day's always pleasant. I like all the other actors in it. Yeah, you know, it was what it was. I feel like at the end, though, they went so far to make it look like they couldn't end up together. So then when they sort of did at the end, it was a bit like, okay, sure. But anyway, 6.5. And the final film I have to talk about is Drive My Car, the Japanese film, which of course is going up for Best Picture. Yeah, this film here absolutely blew my mind, to be honest. I thought this was incredible. Yeah, wow, what can I say about it? For a start, I love how this film opens. There's like this huge prologue to it, which was just fascinating, I thought. And then when the film actually started, the direction it went in, I thought, because I didn't know anything about this film, I thought it was really interesting. You know, it is about him trying to let go of his car and stuff. Like he loves driving his car. It's an old car. It's a classic. The only person he'd ever let drive it before was his wife, who's died. And now to do this play, because he's a writer, he has to allow that. They've said, you know, you have to have a driver. You know, so he's got to let someone else drive his car, and it's just a whole spiral of him with this group of actors that he's working with and his his driver, just getting to know them. And it's just a really fascinating film. But for me, what comes down to it is the filmmaking itself. Some of the cutting in this film is just so smooth and beautiful. The position of things, how it cuts, and you got like everything's so centered and stuff. The sound mixing as well is gorgeous. On a technical level, this is such a great movie, and I had a blast with it. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So yeah, there's all the films I saw this month for the first time, but I can only give one my film of the month. And I'm going to bring Drive My Car right back up here because, yeah, I'm going to say that's my film of the month. There was a few other good ones. You know, I've sort of chucked my list away now. But there was a few other good ones for sure. But this was the film that sort of, I know it's the last film I watched, so it is still very fresh, but it is the one that I've sort of stepped back and thought about a lot since watching, where I'm just going, that was truly something special. So yeah, Drive My Car. Anyway, there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed all the films I watched in February. Thank you so much for watching as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message, and as always, I'll see you next time for another video. Bye-bye.